Hello everyone, and welcome back to SunMoon Audiobook, the channel where we share wisdom and inspiring book journeys to help you grow and develop your best self, inside and out. Have you ever stood in the quiet of early morning before the world wakes up and felt a hollow ache inside, like something important is missing but you can't quite name it? It's not just the bills. It's not just the fatigue. It's not just the gnawing sense that time is slipping by faster than you hoped. It's something deeper, like a forgotten promise you made to yourself a long time ago. Maybe when you were a kid staring out the window, dreaming of what life could be. Or maybe in your 20s when ambition still felt like fire in your chest. Somewhere along the way, life with all its noise and pressure began to drown out that whisper inside. But let me ask you something, what if that whisper never left? What if, underneath all the noise, the stress, the self-doubt, there's still a part of you that remembers, that knows, that believes there's more for you, more purpose, more freedom, more life, not just survival, but growth, not just scraping by, but rising. That's what this story is really about. It's not about money, not really. Sure, we're going to talk about riches, but this isn't some shallow pitch about fast cars or fancy homes. This is about the kind of wealth that starts in the invisible, in the mind, in the heart, in the choices you make every day when nobody's watching. It's about unlocking the power of your own thoughts and letting those thoughts shape a new reality. There's a reason Napoleon Hill's book has lived for nearly a century, passed down from generation to generation, whispered about by successful people in every field. It's because it carries something timeless, something that speaks to the part of us that's tired of settling. So, if you're listening right now, if you're still with me, I want you to know this. This isn't a lecture. It's a hand on your shoulder. It's a quiet walk through the fire of your own dreams. It's a story about belief, about persistence, about tapping into the creative force that already lives inside you, the one you felt in flashes, but maybe never fully trusted. And it starts with a decision. Not someday. Not when things calm down. Now. Napoleon Hill spent over 20 years studying some of the most successful people in history, not just observing them, but listening, asking, learning their patterns, their beliefs, their setbacks, their inner struggles. He interviewed men like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Andrew Carnegie, and what he discovered wasn't luck or talent or even education. It was desire, burning, relentless, crystal clear. Let that sink in for a second. The single most consistent thing that separated the wildly successful from everyone else was a definiteness of purpose. A fire so strong they couldn't ignore it. They refused to be average. They refused to stop trying, even when the world told them they should. And you know what's beautiful about that? Desire is free. It costs you nothing to want something deeply. But here's the catch. Most people don't allow themselves to want with that kind of intensity. They've been taught to tone it down, to be realistic, to settle. But not you. Not anymore. Because if you truly want to grow rich in spirit, in mind, in your outer world, it starts with giving yourself permission to want, to desire, to say, I will have this. Not I hope, not maybe one day, but a full-bodied, full-hearted decision. Desire is the starting line. But the next piece is faith, and I don't mean religious faith. I mean the unshakable belief that what you desire is already on its way to you. That even if you can't see how, even if the path is murky, it will unfold. Because here's the truth. Your subconscious mind believes what you tell it over and over and over again. It doesn't care if it's true in the outer world yet. It listens to your repetition, your emotions, your focus. So when you speak of your dreams as if they're already real with emotion, with clarity, your mind begins to rewire itself. It starts looking for ways to make that vision real. That's not magic. That's psychology, that's neuroplasticity, that's your brain doing what it's built to do, follow instructions. And the most powerful instructions are the ones soaked in feeling. Let me ask you, How often do you talk about what you want like it's already done? How often do you see yourself living the life you desire, in full detail where you are, how you feel, who you're with? Most people visualize their fears more than their goals. They rehearse failure in their minds, obsessing over what could go wrong. But what if you flipped it? What if you rehearsed victory? That's the core of Hill's message. Thought becomes reality. Not instantly, but inevitably if it's fed with faith and persistence. Take a moment. Picture it. Close your eyes if you need to. See yourself already living the life you want. Feel it in your chest. Let that emotion rise. That's not fantasy. That's your blueprint. And once that blueprint is clear, your mind starts moving mountains to bring it into form. But clarity alone isn't enough. The next truth Hill brings us is this. You must make a decision. Not a half decision. Not a wait and see. A real decision. One that doesn't leave the back door open. One that says, I'm doing this no matter how long it takes, no matter how many setbacks come. Indecision is a dream killer. Doubt is its twin. Together, they will keep you frozen for years. But decision, real decision, sets your soul in motion. It closes the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Think of a plane on the runway. Until that plane commits to full throttle, it's just a heavy piece of metal. But the moment it decides, truly decides, it lifts off the ground, defying gravity. That's what happens when you finally say, enough. I'm going all in. And yes, fear will whisper. It always does. But fear isn't a stop sign. It's a signal you're stepping outside the known. That's where growth lives. So, you've got the desire, you've built faith, you've made a decision. What next? Action? But not just busy action, intelligent action. Action guided by a plan. Even if the plan isn't perfect. Even if it changes along the way. The act of planning, of moving toward your vision, activates something powerful inside you. And here's where Hill drops another gem. If your plan fails, make another. Do not quit. Most people fail because they quit after one setback. They see one closed door and assume the whole house is locked. But the successful? They try again, and again, and again, because they know the truth. Defeat is not failure. Quitting is failure. And if you need help, ask for it. Hill emphasizes the power of the mastermind, a group of people who share your values, who challenge you, support you, and hold you accountable. You were never meant to walk this road alone. Surround yourself with people who believe in growth. Let them sharpen you. Now, I want to pause here, not to rush past this, but to let you breathe. Because maybe right now you're sitting in a life that doesn't look anything like what you imagined. Maybe you've been trying. Maybe you're tired. Maybe part of you wonders if it's too late. It's not. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're becoming. Transformation isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like quiet persistence. Sometimes it looks like falling down and choosing to stand up again. Sometimes it's whispering, I believe, when everything around you says not to. But here's the thing. You don't need to change everything overnight. Just take one step. Maybe that step is writing down your desire in clear, bold language. Maybe it's saying it out loud every morning. Maybe it's starting that idea you've buried for years. One small step can change the trajectory of your entire life. You don't have to feel ready. You just have to begin, because momentum builds. Belief grows. And before you know it, you're becoming the person who expects success, who sees opportunity where others see obstacles. And speaking of obstacles, let's talk about persistence. Hill says that persistence is to character what carbon is to steel. Without it, your dreams stay soft. They buckle under pressure, but with it, you become unbreakable. Most people give up at the first sign of resistance. But here's a secret. Resistance is the gatekeeper. It shows up right before the breakthrough. Every great story has a moment when the hero wants to quit. That's not the end. That's the turning point. The test. The invitation to rise. So when it gets hard, and it will get hard, remember, this is the part where most people stop. But not you. You keep going. You persist. Not blindly, but with faith, with adaptation, with fire in your heart. Because every time you persist, you build muscle. You become the kind of person who can hold success when it comes, not just chase it. And yes, money is part of this journey. Not because it defines your worth, but because it's a magnifier. Money reveals who you are. It expands your options. It gives you time, choice, freedom, and there is nothing wrong with wanting that. You don't serve the world by staying small. You serve by becoming who you were meant to be fully, boldly, generously. And now, I want to ask you something gentle but important. What would your life look like if you truly believed in yourself? Not just on good days, not just when people validate you, but unconditionally. What would you build? Who would you become? You don't have to answer right now. Just hold the question in your heart. Let it stir something. Because belief isn't a switch, it's a practice, a muscle. And you strengthen it every time you speak life over your dream instead of doubt. You strengthen it every time you choose to act, even when the fear is loud. You strengthen it every time you say, "This matters to me and I won't let it go." Now, Napoleon Hill introduces another powerful and often misunderstood concept, the subconscious mind. Think of it as a garden, one that is always growing something. The seeds that get planted are your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions. And here's the catch: it doesn't matter if you plant weeds or wildflowers. The soil accepts it all. So if you keep telling yourself, "I'm not good enough," or "nothing ever works out for me," guess what starts to grow? But if you begin to plant something new, even slowly, like "I am capable, I am learning, I am becoming wealthy," in every sense of the word, the roots start to shift. The ground begins to change. Your subconscious is like a loyal servant, following your orders even if those orders were given unconsciously years ago by a scared version of you who just wanted to feel safe. But now, you're in charge. And every time you speak a new truth with feeling, you rewrite that code. This is why affirmations, visualization, and emotional intensity matter. Not because they're trendy, but because they reprogram the engine under the hood. Your subconscious doesn't argue. It just executes. So talk to it with love. Feed it faith. Remind it daily of where you're going, not where you've been. And while we're here, let's talk about imagination. Yes, imagination. The same tool you used freely as a child before the world taught you to be realistic. Hill says that imagination is the workshop of the mind. It's where desire takes shape, where new ideas are born, where strategies are crafted. Every great invention, every thriving business, every artistic masterpiece started in the mind before it became form. That's not fiction, that's creation. You don't have to be an artist to use imagination. You just have to be willing to dream, to picture possibilities, to ask yourself, what if? And then not shut it down with fear. What if I could create a new income stream? What if I could change my career? What if I could wake up excited to live my own life? Don't underestimate this. Imagination is not fluff. It's the blueprint factory. And when you pair it with decision, desire, faith, and action, you become a force that can bend reality. Now let's bring it down to something practical, something you can do today. Take 10 minutes, sit quietly, no phone, no noise. Just you and a notebook. And write this question at the top. If I knew I could not fail, what would I dare to imagine? Let it pour out. No judgment, no censoring. Don't worry if it sounds crazy. That's the point. Let your soul speak, and then look at what you've written. Pick one thing, just one, and ask yourself, what's the next smallest step I could take toward this? Maybe it's researching, maybe it's making a call, maybe it's clearing space in your schedule. Whatever it is, do it. Today. Not perfectly, not boldly, just honestly, because action, even tiny action, tells the universe, I'm serious. And when you become serious, things start to shift. People show up. Opportunities whisper. Coincidences multiply. That's not luck. That's alignment. Now I want to take a moment and speak to the part of you that feels tired. The part that's been trying for so long. Maybe you've heard messages like this before, and part of you wonders, what's the point? Here's the point. You're still here. You're still listening. Something in you wants to believe this time could be different, and that something, that's your power. You see, the mind is not just a tool, it's a gateway. When you feed it the right thoughts, it changes how you feel. When you feel different, you act different. When you act different, you get different results. This isn't hype, it's cause and effect. Energy in, energy out. But it starts with responsibility, the radical kind. The kind that says, even if it wasn't my fault, it is my future. The kind that stops blaming, stops waiting, and starts creating. Hill teaches that successful people don't dwell on what's missing, they dwell on what's possible. They don't let failure define them, they let it refine them. They ask better questions, they build better habits. And one of those habits? Specialized knowledge. You don't need to know everything, but you do need to know something well, something valuable, something you can offer the world. Hill reminds us, general education will earn you a living. Specialized knowledge, that can earn you a fortune. So ask yourself, what do you already know, love, or want to master? What skills light you up? What problems are people struggling with that you could help solve? You don't need to go back to school. You need to go deep. Read books, watch tutorials, ask mentors, practice, teach others. Knowledge becomes power only when it's applied. So don't just learn, use what you learn. Start small. Learn one new thing this week. Apply it. Teach it to someone else. Let momentum build. And then repeat. Because the truth is, your life is being built by what you do daily, not occasionally. Your habits are your future in disguise. Which brings us to another one of Hill's teachings. Autosuggestion. This word might sound technical, but it's simple. It's the practice of feeding your mind intentional thoughts over and over until they become your default. Think of it like brushing your teeth, but for your belief system. You wake up, and instead of checking your phone, you speak your desire aloud. I am building wealth every day. I am confident. I am focused. I am capable. You read your goals. You feel them in your body. You rehearse success. You bathe your mind in what you want, not what you fear. Do this daily. Make it a ritual. Protect it like your life depends on it, because in some ways, it does. And don't stop when it feels silly. That's just your old programming trying to survive. Keep going until it feels like truth. And then keep going still, because mastery comes not from knowing, but from becoming. You are becoming. Now, Hill also teaches us to transmute energy, especially sexual energy, into creativity, focus, and drive. It's a concept most people shy away from, but it matters. Because energy is energy. You can spend it impulsively, or you can channel it. The most successful people take that raw drive, the craving for pleasure, connection, expression, and pour it into their craft. Their vision, their mission. They don't numb themselves. They elevate themselves. So ask yourself, where is your energy leaking? Where could it be redirected towards something meaningful, something lasting? Maybe it's time to unplug from distractions. Maybe it's time to tune into your higher calling. You already have the power. It's just waiting to be aimed. And finally, let's talk about fear. Fear is the shadow that follows every dream. But Hill breaks it down. He names it. He teaches us how to dismantle it. Fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of ill health, fear of loss, fear of old age, fear of death. These are the 6 ghosts that haunt most people, silently dictating their choices. But when you see them clearly, they lose their grip. When you name the fear, you take its power. And when you act in spite of fear, you become unstoppable. So let me ask you one last time. What would you do if fear wasn't steering the wheel? Would you start the business? Leave the job? Write the book? Forgive the past? Trust your instincts? Because you can. You don't need permission. You are the permission. So here's my quiet challenge to you. Just one thing. One tiny thing. Do it today. Write your goal. Speak it out loud. Read a page of a powerful book. Reach out to someone you admire. Take one step not because you feel ready, but because you're done waiting. And when you do, imagine this a seed in the dark. Soil, no light, no certainty, no map, but it grows anyway. It breaks open, not because it's easy, but because it must. Because life inside demands expression. That seed is you. And you are breaking open, not breaking down. You are reaching for the surface, for the sun, for the life that's been whispering to you in quiet moments, asking, are you ready to believe again? Let that image stay with you. A tiny sprout, reaching up, defying the weight of earth, finding its way. No applause, no rush. Just silent, steady growth. That is your power. That is your path. And if this stirred something in you, if a quiet yes echoed in your chest, don't let it fade. Hold on to it. Feed it. You can share this with someone who needs it. You can write a comment, even just one sentence, to anchor what you felt. You can subscribe if you want more moments like this, not for hype, but for hope. But more than anything, promise yourself this. You will not forget what you heard today. You will not go back to sleep. You will take the next small step, and then the next, and then the next. And I'll be right here, rooting for you every step of the way. Now go, grow.